In studio alongside the two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden, who knows something about championship football. I'm not sure we saw that on display here Monday night, but we did see the first Bears victory in the NFC North in over 2 years, B-Mac. Big moment for those guys in those rooms that have been there through all of these struggles. What did you make of the effort? We're going to dive into some specifics here, but the way they composed themselves following 2 fourth-quarter fumbles to orchestrate that drive, specifically Justin Fields.
Battle tested. You know, when you talk about the Chicago Bears, you talk about more of the letdowns than the high opportunities that we've seen. It hasn't been a lot. Go back to a week ago. They kind of controlled that ball game against the Detroit Lions for maybe 3.5 quarters, and guess what? They found a way to lose that ball game. Tonight, similar like things happened in this ball game. For the entirety of the ball game, the Chicago Bears were in control, forcing turnovers, you know, giving their offense favorable field position, didn't cash in with touchdowns, but they cashed in with field goals. And then, of course, the fumbles by Justin Fields. It felt like they were going to allow this game to slip through their fingers, similar to what we saw last week against the Lions. But get this, they found a way to win this ball game. This could be a turning point for the Chicago Bears when you talk about, you know, the structure of this team, because now for the second straight week in a row, we're seeing some inspired football on both sides of the football field. But unlike last week, they found a way to win. Let's see if they can kind of find a way to utilize this momentum to go on to next week against another divisional foe in the Detroit Lions.
I want to go a little deeper here on Fields because the play calling did not aid him in the first 3 quarters. You maybe point the finger at him in the fourth, because this is a microcosm of the question that's going to be asked of Ryan Poles this offseason. Is this the guy? And at times when he's leading that drive, he rips one in the middle of the field to DJ Moore. Wow, that looks like a franchise quarterback throw. But prior to that, you're in field goal range. You could make it a 2-score game, puts it on the ground, leads to 7 at the other end. Next drive, trying to make something happen in a late down situation, puts it on the ground again. Where are you at on Justin Fields? It feels like the highs and the lows of it all are still too wide apart, but that ceiling still is something.
Talent. He's a talented guy. I just don't like the offensive structure and the way they use Justin Fields. I've never seen a football game where an offense calls at least 12 to 14 screens. And it'd be one thing if those screens were working, but I mean, every drive, we were seeing a screenplay to a wide receiver. Like, where's the creativity within the offense? When you look at some of the more successful offenses in the National Football League, they utilize creativity, and they might not have the athlete that Chicago has at the quarterback position, but yet and still they're getting the most out of their quarterback. When you talk about having a guy like Justin Fields, you got to put him in a position to be able to showcase his athleticism, his arm talent, and of course being able to buy time. I think he's at his best when he's improvising, when he's playing off script a little bit and making things happen. And that has been the new norm for quarterbacking in the NFL. We look at some of the more successful guys, they're at their best when they're able to improvise, and they have the leeway to do so. Pat Mahomes, Justin Fields, heck, Josh Allen. I mean, these guys get out and make things happen on the fly, and that helps their offense. And me personally, I've been concerned about how they utilize Justin Fields the entire year, and it showed up once again tonight. But they found a way to win. Now, he has to protect the football.
Certainly.
Those 2 fumbles is something that you cannot tolerate. But outside of that, just the structure and the play calling was well in question for me.
27 completions for Justin Fields. 14 of those were completed at or behind the line of scrimmage, much of that by design. They leaned into the screen. Maybe you're trying to find him in a bad blitz package and beat that blitz, but was not the case, because all of that vertical that we saw a week ago against the Detroit Lions that worked, we saw none of it here against the Minnesota Vikings. You talked about turnovers. I want to talk about turnovers on the other side, because this is a Bears defense that for the 2nd straight week has forced 4 turnovers. What are you seeing in that group? I mean, they are gelling. They are flying to the ball. They are creating pressure post-Montez Sweat. Jalen Johnson, I mean, the price is going up with the way that he's been balling out. I know you see defense a little different. What are you seeing from this unit?
I mean, yeah, they had 4 interceptions tonight. They should have had 5. Jalen dropped one. He dropped the pick 6. But what I'm seeing from the defense right now, energy. They're playing with enthusiasm. They're flying around. Everyone is doing their assignment. They tackle extremely well. This is a well-tackling group, and that's the unique thing about where they are currently now compared to earlier in the year. They're tackling much better. They're not missing tackles, and they're not providing yak from opposing offensive players. So that's a good thing as well. And since acquiring Montez Sweat, I was a bit concerned in regards to giving up a second rounder for Montez Sweat and giving him a $90+ million deal. But it has been well deserved. He's been a catalyst for their front. He's been able to anchor it and provide pressure. And because of what he's been able to do in the entire front, Walker and the rest of the crew, you see production on the second level and the third level as well. So this is a group that's starting to really find their niche, and hopefully their offense can find their niche as well, because they can find a way to put together a nice array of ball games to finish out this season.
Energy creates energy, and it's a group that looks more like hammer than nail as they have in games in years past. Let's get to the other side of this, because the Vikings had an opportunity right in front of them. You got a Bears football team that's somewhere between draft position and figuring out their quarterback situation. I mean, this is a ball game you're supposed to win, and it's winnable games coming up. This obviously isn't baby and bathwater for the Vikings, but a missed opportunity, no doubt.
Missed opportunity, and it's solely because of the Vikings. You cannot expect to win against anybody in the National Football League throwing 4 interceptions. 4 interceptions will cost you, and it cost them tonight. Yes, their defense battled, right? Didn't allow 1 touchdown. But think about the extra possessions the Chicago Bears had the luxury of having that put them in position to win this ball game. So there's some things they have to clean up. I feel like this was a great game, a great opportunity for the Vikings to create separation from the rest of the pack in regards to playoff seeding. They get their bye. Hopefully after the bye, you get Justin Jefferson back, which will help the offense tremendously. But they allow a big-time game to slip away because, as Joe mentioned, there's no guarantees in the National Football League, but there are moments where you have winnable-like games, right? When you see a team based on what they've done weeks past and the struggles, this should be a winnable game, not to mention at home. At home, you got to find a way to win the ball games you're supposed to win. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. They still control their destiny, but hopefully this is not a game they will look back on and say, that's where we missed our opportunity.
Yeah, the season will be decided week 16 through 18. They go Lions, Packers, Lions, divisional games to finish the season. So you're looking at that in the hunt graphic. Packers next closest right now to this Vikings team, and a door left open by the Detroit Lions earlier in the week. They don't walk through that. They leave their own door open now to the Packers. Talk to me about Josh Dobbs, because so much was made of the first 3 weeks. We did not see that Josh Dobbs here against the Bears. Yes, the defense is rallying, playing with a lot of momentum and intensity, but Dobbs did not look to have the same comfortability he did in other games. What was the reason for that?
Well, I just didn't see the football field well. Here on this interceptions, the cover 2 drop, a great job by Jalen Johnson, anticipating and making Josh think he's going to take that China route, fell off that China route right underneath that 7 cut. Great ball skills there. Another opportunity here. You talk about Josh Dobbs just throwing a dart. Jordan Addison got to make that play. Unfortunately, this is what the night was for Minnesota. Missed opportunities. Deflection, you know, Johnny on the spot right there in Brisker. This is what Chicago was able to do, and this has been, you know, their theme, you know, finding ways to be in positions to create turnovers and making turnovers. So this is a great niche to have for Chicago because, Joe, as you know, you wasn't seeing this in the first month and a half of the season for the defense. Wasn't really tackling well, wasn't creating pressure, creating turnovers, and now over the last 3 or 4 weeks, this is a team that's playing inspired football, and they feel like, you know what, they can change the entire trajectory of their season based on what they've done in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I believe they can as well.
I'll tell you something about Chicago right now. This is a city that longs for offense, that wants that quarterback to be the guy right there. But at the heart and soul of it, much like your Pittsburgh Steelers, defense first. And maybe the monsters of the Midway are on the way back here for the Bears. B-Mac, thank you as always. And don't forget, there's only one place to be each and every Sunday. That's with us on Game Day Scoreboard. When they go final, we get started. Full highlights, reaction, and sound you won't get anywhere else, including a stop in the booth with our friend Tony Romo each and every week on CBS Sports HQ.